Hi everyone, my name's Rachel Gregory. I'm the founder of Wise Women in Sales Excel, and welcome to our very first Wise Natters. And I'm here with Beth Eager, who's our first interviewee. Beth, welcome. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Rachel?
Really good, thank you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I'm glad it's Friday. I really am.
Oh no, I think everyone just gets to Fridays like, oh, breathe. It's the weekend. Made it through another week in what has been the most challenging 8 weeks we've probably ever had in our lives. So it's
really
good to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Virtual cheers, and thank you so much for joining with me today. Do you want to start by just telling everyone a bit about yourself, please?
Absolutely. So my name is Beth Eager. I currently work for the Casual Dining Group as their head of corporate sales. I've always done sales really, but I also do a bit of marketing. So I call myself the sales and marketing queen. That is my expertise, those two fields.
Great title, and so you should. Amazing. Thank you for that insight into kind of your current role. And how long have you been working in events, Beth?
So for events, I've been in for the last 8 years altogether. So yeah, a long time. Previously, I was at a hen and stag company as their sales manager. So that was running events for hen, stags and weekends away. So yeah, I've definitely got a passion for the events industry.
Amazing. God, 8 years is a really long time.
I know.
Yeah, no, that's amazing though. You must really be passionate and absolutely love what you do. Yeah. So like the last 8 weeks, God, I mean, time has just flown by. And I just don't even know what day it is half the time. I think everyone feels like that.
It doesn't feel like 8 weeks. I would not say it's been 8 weeks. Like if someone asked me, I would I'd say it feels like 3 or 4 weeks have gone by, not 8 weeks. It's crazy how quickly it's gone.
Yeah, no, it really is. It is crazy times. And so with regards to kind of your challenges and what you've been through from kind of when we went into lockdown, when did you postpone your events?
So with our events, in particular for the corporate bookings, these are kind of larger events. They're larger functions. So you're looking at kind of like 200 people plus. So when the coronavirus pandemic kind of really started to happen, a lot of the clients were contacting us saying we're not sure that a large event's going to be appropriate. And obviously we hadn't had any guidance from the government at that stage. So there was a period of time that it was kind of, is it safe? And then we had to obviously find out from the government to see if it could go ahead. So it wasn't until the government made their decision about the restaurants being closed that we could obviously contact our clients and kind of say, for the foreseeable future, we cannot be putting on these events because we're not allowed to be open. So it's a tricky time, really.
Of course, and that complete time frame, we were just all in limbo. None of us really knew kind of what was happening, you know, what the best advice was to give to clients, which probably was the frustrating part for everyone. What was the most challenging part of that time and kind of that process of what you had to go through?
For me personally, it was about the clients were keen to keep the booking, so they weren't looking to cancel altogether. But for us to rebook that, what date do you look at? Like if they're looking for a month in advance, are we going to be able to do that? Probably not. So it was about trying to come to a compromise with the client about when's going to be a good time for their event to run. Because if it goes on for too long, the event might not need to go ahead for their company. So it's about trying to save as much as we can, but also trying to give the client what they want as well. So that's probably what I found the most challenging.
Yeah, of course. And venues are hard enough to find dates on a normal year, let alone a year like we're having when everybody is moving their events. So yeah, super challenging. And I think that's something we can definitely all relate to. When did you find out you were going to be furloughed, and how did that make you feel?
So it was a weird situation because it all happened quite quickly, because as soon as the government obviously said about the lockdown and the restaurants closing, our company were quite quick to act about the furlough situation. And personally, I'd never heard of the term furlough. Like, it was a complete alien concept to me. So of course the first initial reaction is to worry. You go, what is furlough? Like, what is going on? But I was very fortunate that our sales director called us all up individually, went through the process, answered any questions. And once obviously you've asked all your questions, and it makes you feel a bit more relaxed about what the situation is. It's not the most ideal situation, but it's the best out of a bad situation, I would say.
Definitely, and that's a really good way to look at it. And I'm with you. Like, I have never heard of the term furlough, which, given that I'm the age of 30, is quite shocking probably. But no, like, well, I guess until you come across these obstacles and still these things happen, you're not aware of kind of what these terms are, and we've never been in this scenario before. So yeah, that's really interesting indeed that you felt the same. And how have you stayed connected with our event industry?
So again, we're quite lucky. So within the casual dining group, we already had a Facebook workplace set up, which is really nice because some of our restaurants are open for takeaway. So it's about really supporting as a network the teams that are still working. We're doing a lot for the NHS as well, feeding the NHS. So it's about coming together at this time and kind of being a united network to try and get through this hard period, really. And I've also, by one of my suppliers, was introduced to a network on Slack. And it was like a network for everyone in hospitality, and everyone was sharing articles, answering questions. So it's really nice to still have kind of that input to our suppliers and to the whole network, really, and still keeping in touch. It really helps.
That's fantastic. And yes, Slack is proving more and more popular, and especially now, communication is the most vital tool we have. So any means possible to get that information and stay connected, and also just to, feel part of something, I think is really important. So that's fantastic to hear that you've got that connection and that community online. That's really great. And so since you've been furloughed, what does your week look like?
So for me, I'm like a creature of habit. I have to have a routine. So don't get me wrong, I do chill and watch Netflix time to time. But other than that, I am actually really regimented with my schedule. So I always wake up at the same time every day, because I think as soon as you start being like, oh, I've got nothing to get up for, you might end up slipping down that slippery slope of being like, well, I don't need to get up until 10 or 11. And that's half your day gone. And that's just not the way that I go about life. So I get up, I do my Joe Wicks. Joe Wicks has been a saviour throughout this lockdown period. It's been really good to kind of get up and do some exercise first thing. And then I've enrolled on LinkedIn Learning. So they've got a really good platform where you can access courses for sales, marketing, whatever kind of industry you want to have a look at. They've got courses for it. So that's really helped me kind of make sure that I'm still learning something throughout the week and setting a schedule. I'm starting Spanish as well. I have no clue why.
That's amazing.
I know, it's really weird, but I was like, it will keep me focused. As long as I'm focused on a goal or doing something, then yeah, it really helps me kind of get through the day to day at the moment.
That's amazing. And I think what you said there about touching on waking up at the same time, I think it's so important, because I'm not a morning person at all, but I think if I was waking up later and later every day, you're right, that's half the day gone, and it doesn't make you feel the most productive.
No, definitely not.
So really important to kind of try and stick to some routine kind of during this time. Of course, we had some really important news this week with, of course, the furlough job retention scheme being extended till October. Now, whilst many are going to be really pleased at that news, a lot of employers pleased that that help is available, there's going to be lots of anxiety and questions for those on furlough. So what are your thoughts on that extension?
My initial thoughts were pure shock, because I honestly thought that it would go until August. That was my kind of the way that I looked at it. I'd be like, right, they'll do an extension, definitely do an extension, and they'll probably do it till August to be safe, to make sure that obviously the companies have got that level of support until then. And when they said October, it did make me feel like, oh really? Like, what is the bigger picture now then? Like, how do they see this industry going if they're putting those measures in place already? So I think it's normal to have a feeling of anxiety around that, definitely.
Yeah, agreed. I think how can you not? It is, yeah, like you said, it's such a jump. Like, it is such a jump. And I think there's not just the anxiety of, what if your furlough's extended? It's also the financial implications of that. So, yeah, I guess very mixed feelings. Good, for employers, and raised anxiety for those that are on furlough. But none of us know what the future holds. I mean, it is looking like the figures and the results are becoming more positive, day by day. But what positive message would you deliver to your peers in the event industry right now to help lift everyone's spirits?
I would say that people need to realise that face-to-face events and interaction will never go. It's not, I know the current situation is not ideal and it's not possible, but the future for events, it's going to be needed more than ever. People are going to crave that face-to-face interaction. People are going to want to go to events, and people will have a new lease of life for events. And I'm positive that we will turn the corner for this, and it will be better than ever. But we just have to make sure that we do it in the right way. And if that's obviously going to take a while, then it will take a while. But in the future, I think we'll come back better than ever, definitely.
That's such an inspiring message. No, that really, really is. And you're right. I think we can only go upwards from this, and the economy, needs to get back going again. And events are going to be such a huge part of that. They are already such a huge part of that, with the hundreds of thousands of jobs and the millions that events bring into the economy. So that's, really inspiring message.
Yeah.
Have you listened to any kind of podcasts or webinars, or because there's so much content out there and it is really noisy, and I kind of look on Eventbrite and look at kind of what the AEO have got coming up, but has anything stood out to you that's been really good that you've listened to recently?
Yeah, there is. To be honest, I do like listening to podcasts, and I like going on YouTube, and that I've always done that. But I listened to one today, funny enough, that was a really, really good podcast. So it was a channel called Your Table's Ready, and it was an interview with a guy called Nick Telson. And Nick Telson is the founder of Design My Night. I don't know if you know the platform Design My Night. Yeah,
amazing.
It's a really inspirational story. The guy's 35. He started it 10 years ago. And he sold the business for £25 million back in 2017.
Wow.
And listening to his story, he's worked hard. Like, it wasn't just given to him. He had a fantastic concept. I use Design My Night all the time. I absolutely love the platform. And it's so interesting hearing the concept stage, the funding stage, how he worked 7 days a week answering all the emails and inquiries himself, and then got a business partner on board. And I would recommend for anyone to really go on Spotify and have a look at that, because I played it first thing this morning at 9 o'clock, and it really gave me a bounce in my step today. And I was like, you know what? I feel inspired to do something today, and it really kick-started my day.
That's amazing. I'm definitely going to check that one out. I haven't seen that one yet, but no, that sounds great. And I think that's it. Anything we can kind of listen to and learn at the moment, because on a positive spin of everything we're going through, we have been given the gift of time, things like learning Spanish and listening to podcasts. Some of us don't normally get round to that in our normal week. I'm sure Spanish isn't something that you had time to take up before.
So true.
So you could be fluent in Spanish, you could be an expert in other fields from your LinkedIn masterclasses that you've been doing. So there is so much opportunity out there, and I think if we just keep this positive mindset, like you've done, and keep positive, we will get through this together. But cheers to the weekend. Another cheers. Thank you so much for coming on and being my first interviewee. It's really insightful.
Anytime. It's been great. I'm more than happy to come back and do another one.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I think if anyone's got any questions for Beth, you can just comment on this video. Don't forget you can follow Wise on Instagram at wise_Brighton, also Twitter, and there's also a LinkedIn group. Thank you so much, Beth, and have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Take care.
See you soon. Thanks.